Here's my SCHD price prediction for 2025. SCHD is arguably the king of dividend ETFs and is great for long-term dividend investors, where it's known for having double-digit returns of over 11% annually over the last decade and over 12% annually over the last 5 years, which is really impressive for a dividend ETF that might be a slower growing ETF compared to a growth or a broad market ETF. SCHD even has a high dividend yield of just under 3.5%, where it's been able to continuously grow this dividend every single year for some insane dividend growth, where eventually if you invest in SCHD with the goal of retirement in mind, you should be able to easily live off of dividends as a form of passive income and easily retire off of this ETF in no time. However, with all this in mind, it should be noted that SCHD has been a powerhouse in 2024 and gained nearly 30% so far as we finish off the year for its total return, with Charles Schwab having SCHD go through that 3-to-1 stock split, and with the fact that we're basically at all-time highs for SCHD, including the S&P 500 VOO as a whole. The real question is, what is SCHD going to do in terms of price movement in 2025, and what should investors expect for a realistic return on their investment from SCHD in 2025? I'm going to be using Seeking Alpha and even TipRanks, which are basically investing research tools that have so much data that can help us get to our final answer. So if you want to check them out, the links will be in the description of this video. So without further ado, let's get started. First up is Seeking Alpha. They have ETF grades, which are basically a report card of an ETF based on various categories. On my laptop, Seeking Alpha rates SCHD a B in momentum, an A+ in terms of its expense ratio, an A+ in dividends, a B in terms of its risk, which is really good. It means that the fund is less volatile and less risky than other funds, and finally an A+ in terms of liquidity. Overall, I believe that SCHD can keep these great ETF grades or even upgrade them heading into 2025 or even throughout 2025. Seeking Alpha even has a quant rating system which basically tells an investor when to buy or sell an ETF or stock based on a ton of data and analytics. Seeking Alpha's quant rating system for SCHD is currently a buy, but on the lower end of their buy spectrum from 1 to 5, it's about in the middle, a little over 3, which is a solid buy in my opinion. So it's not a super strong buy, but at least it's a buy nonetheless, according to Seeking Alpha. And so far for the past month, it looks like a buy as well, with a ton of green signals almost every single day for those buy signals. Moving on to Seeking Alpha's analysts, they do say that SCHD is currently a buy, where they're a little bit more bullish on SCHD than the quant rating system, still a buy rating, which really saw that both of them are on the same page. According to 21 analysts, 4 of them rate SCHD a strong buy, 11 rate SCHD a buy, 5 rate it a hold, 0 rate it a sell, and 1 of them rate SCHD a strong sell. Over the last year in 2024, Seeking Alpha has been rating SCHD a buy as a whole almost all the time, which is pretty cool to see, since SCHD has increased a lot in terms of its share price as well. Unfortunately, Seeking Alpha does not have any Wall Street analyst ratings, so I'm going to be using TipRanks for that, since they do have Wall Street analysts giving ETF price predictions. Now next up is TipRanks. It says that in the next 12 months, according to TipRanks based on Wall Street analysts, that they have 3 price targets for SCHD. The first is that a high of $37.10, the average price target is $31.30, and the lowest price target is $25.95. I'm going to be using the average price target for SCHD from TipRanks, which is going to most likely occur since it's the average to occur of $31.30, which is my price prediction and TipRanks price prediction for 2025 for SCHD, which does mean around a 9% gain or upside for SCHD in the next 12 months in 2025. However, we do need to take into account the total return for SCHD for its most accurate price prediction in 2025, which is that share price appreciation plus the dividend that SCHD pays. So if the dividend yield of SHD is sitting at well above 3%, we can see around 11% gains for the year in 2025 if all things go well for SHD. However, if the economy goes into a recession in 2025, which will ruin this whole party, we could see around a 9% drop in share price of SHD, according to tip ranks of $25.95 a share, which is only a 6% decrease in terms of total returns, including the dividend of the ETF helping prop up that loss to just around 6% instead of 9%. And if the economy really booms from lower interest rates and lower inflation, which will inherently boost stock prices, which is nearly a 30% increase in share price and over 30% including the dividend, but in my opinion, the average price target of $31.30 is going to be way more realistic, given SHD is a dividend ETF and not a hyper-growth ETF, where over 30% gains is just way too unrealistic and you are just dreaming. Overall, 53 analysts on tip ranks rate SHD a buy, 44 a hold, and only 5 a sell, where SHD has a SMART score of 7 out of 10, which is really solid in my opinion and considered neutral by tip ranks. The blogger sentiment is also bullish and positive. The growth wisdom is also very positive from tip ranks, and overall hedge funds have been increasing their position in SHD over the past year and probably will in 2025. Fun fact about SHD is that over 2.4% of all portfolios on tip ranks hold SCHD, where 9.32% of all those portfolios are allocated to Buy SCHD. But please do also own SHD if you do in a Roth IRA to save on taxes on those dividends and as well as your capital gains. I think a lot of people have been loading up on SHD after that 3-to-1 stock split, which made it super easy and affordable for anyone to buy SHD, especially at under $30 per share. And of course it went up a lot, and of course it also pays a very good dividend, which is another reason why people want to have a piece of SHD in their portfolio pie. Now, people think that the stock split was a weird move on Charles Schwab, but in my opinion, it was a very smart move on SHD and Charles Schwab, especially heading into 2025 to provide more access to investors and overall more liquidity. From all we know from those buy ratings and the average price target of $31.30 per share, the real question is also, when is the best time to buy SHD, or when should I even buy SHD to get a piece of the pie? My favorite method of buying ETFs is just to dollar cost average or DCA. Dollar cost averaging means you buy an ETF or stock on a regular basis, whether that's daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly, and you buy it regardless of the stock or ETF price. This is great because it takes all the stress and headache of wondering when's the best time to buy SHD, because over time, if SHD just continues to go up and up and up, and if you're a long-term investor, then you just ride the waves of the share price and make a ton of money along the way. Now you can also lump sum your money into SHD, which means that you buy a lot of your money right now and just not look at it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years into the future. Either lump sum or DCA will work great, just depends on your own preference. Even in 2025, let's say SHD goes down to a lower stock price prediction of $25.95 per share. Most likely the economy will be in a recession, but that should not scare you away from buying ETFs. Just be a buyer and a long-term investor and have a very positive outlook into the future. Think what SHD is going to look like in terms of its share price in 5, 10, 20, or even 40 years. My guess is a heck of a lot more than right now. If we invested $500 a month for the next 30 years in SHD, we would end up with a little over $1 million. And on top of that, you will be receiving over $30,000 per year in dividends for passive income. And that's only possible when you buy ETFs regardless of what I say, what Wall Street says, or even your mom, dad, girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, dog, I don't care. Just buy SHD for the long run and you will see a ton of gains. Well, hopefully, right? In the long run. Now, if you guys like this video, please give it a like because this cute puppy did. Now, right here is going to be a video on if you invested $100,000 in SHD, what will that look like in the long run? Now, I love you guys so much. Continue to crush in the stock market and take it easy. Peace.